So this is a fucking for the nobody that's watching us on Twitch. This is a podcast we do where we're gonna break down the shit that happened in the prior week and sort of analyze it and give you an impending sense of doom that you didn't ask for.
Yep.
So you rearranged the outline. Let me look at that.
I just put the Trump stuff up top.
So I saw, with regard to that, I saw the some article about the professionals that the Trump team hired to do jury analysis for this jury picking, and I didn't really get the vibe that was like gonna accomplish much for them. So I don't know what the fuck that was, but I'm sure that's pretty standard procedure.
Yeah. Well, there's at least one person on the jury who voted for him. So,
because that would have been a question they asked, right?
yeah, and I mean, assuming that what you heard is true, because there's no obligation for anybody to leak what the jurors' answers on the questionnaires were, but somebody was spreading around on TikTok and Twitter that one of the jurors, their favorite book is The Art of the Deal, and they voted for him and all that stuff. So all you need is one poison juror to hang a jury. So who knows?
But in that jury selection process, the defense and the prosecution both need to agree that the person stays. If one of them says they go, then they don't get seated, right?
True, but in some trials, and I don't know if it's different in different jurisdictions, it probably is, there's a limit to how many jurors each side can strike, which means just say no to this person.
Okay.
Like, you can't just do that infinitely. So I don't know. I know they went through quite a few. It took them 3 days to seat the jury. So, and they're still not done. They're still looking for alternates, and they've dismissed a juror already.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought they were done though. I thought they had all their alts. Maybe not.
I don't think so. They have the 12, the main 12, but they
Right.
were getting some more alternates because they think they're going to have to dismiss more.
Yeah, it's whoa, hold on, you motherfucker.
The jury that I was on, there were 12 jurors and 2 alternates, but they've got more alternates than that already, and they said they were still looking for more.
Yeah, I think I've been summoned for jury duty 3 times in my life, and I've gotten out of it every time because of who I am and what I am, and nobody wants me. So I'm perfectly okay with that.
Well, I got to sit on a murder trial, and it was kind of fun.
That was fairly recently, wasn't it? That was the past couple years.
It was last March. And then last May, he was sentenced life in prison without parole because we convicted him. But it was fun. It took us 3 days to come up with a verdict. We had a couple of holdouts.
So what do you do in those situations? You're in that room and you guys are debating with each other, trying to.
Yep.
Really?
100%. And we got it down to there was one holdout, and it was like 10 o'clock at night, and we told the 4-person told the judge that we were hung, and the judge says, "Why don't you go home and have a sleep, and we'll come back tomorrow and we'll try one more day." And the one holdout, he said, "You can send me home to sleep all you want. I'm never changing my mind." That's what he said. And then we all left and went home. We all came back in the next morning, and the first words out of his mouth, "I changed my mind."
Really?
I don't know what happened when he went home, but
That's wild.
he changed his mind overnight.
Huh.
Of course, we decided not to tell the judge we were done. We waited to get the free lunch.
And you don't get I think back in the day you used to get like a stipend, that there was
Yeah, we got $50 a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That would be a day where I won't have to drive Uber. Maybe I should stop fighting these subpoenas.
Well, here's the thing though. The murder trial was fun, but imagine you're in like a tax dispute or a property dispute
Oh
or
my God.
something like that. That would be boring as hell. I would have no interest in serving on a jury like that. But you do know what the case is before you go meet with the lawyers, so
You do.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, I saw
Yeah,
them.
because there's an initial questionnaire where they ask you all the questions. First of all, they ask you if you know anybody that's involved in the case. They'll name all the cops involved and everybody involved. And do you know any of these people? And then they,
Yeah.
they ask you, can you convict someone for whatever the crime is? Because like some people might not even believe in the crime, and they might say, no, I'll never convict somebody for that.
Yeah. Huh.
At least that was my experience. It's probably not always the same.
So
All right.
apparently,
We are doing the podcast, right? We're not just chatting.
yeah, we're recording. So apparently Joe Biden set somebody on fire outside of the trial, right?
Yeah, Joe Biden or Peter Thiel or somebody.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so I have two thoughts about that. First of all, his manifesto, a lot of the stuff in it, he's actually right about. He basically said Democrats and Republicans are the same and they're screwing us over. Yeah, that's true. But how he arrived at those conclusions was through a bunch of conspiracy theories and just general batshit crazy ideas.
Like the Simpsons. Did you see the part about
Yeah,
the
the evil Simpsons
What the fuck,
that are
dude?
brainwashing everybody.
Oh my God. And the guy in the video clip I saw of him where he's sitting in his vehicle apparently and just something about just repeating start a revolution, start a
Yeah,
revolution.
he sings a song, "Start a fucking revolution."
Fuck.
It's kind of catchy.
I mean, he could have done this in a way that directly harmed someone else or multiple other people, and he didn't do that.
Yeah, he was bringing attention to what he believed in. I know it's the same thing that that guy did in the Air Force guy. He was bringing attention to what he believed in.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. I was see. That's what I was worried about when I saw this. I thought somebody saw what Aaron. What the fuck was his name?
Bushnell.
Bushnell. Yeah. Fucking. I'm sorry. I forgot his fucking name. Saw what he did, and they were going to co-opt on it because they thought, oh well, he got noticed, and so that diminishes because of the content of what this guy was doing, and he's obviously crazy. I don't think Bushnell was crazy at all, not even a shred. But my fear was that this guy's choice to do this act was going to diminish what Bushnell did. But I don't think that's the case.
Well, I mean, self-immolation has long been a way that people with strongly held beliefs bring attention to their beliefs.
It's the literally most powerful. I can't think of another way, to do that.
That's what it's always been used for, and it's been used for righteous reasons, like I believe Aaron Bushnell and like that famous monk.
Yeah.
Years and years and years ago, there's a famous image of him.
There was a woman who did this in the United States just a year or so before Bushnell did, and it was for the same. I think it was for the same reasons. It was a pro-Palestinian protest.
Yeah, so
if I'm remembering right.
It does work. People do talk about why you did it when you do it, so it does bring attention to it. But yeah, I don't know. It's not the way I would go about it personally, but I might stand out in front of some embassy or something with a bullhorn or something. But yeah, I don't know. He was definitely mentally ill, but he was also right about a few things. So, but his manifesto is an interesting read.
I haven't seen anything back on the actual trial that's going on in the building. I haven't seen anything yet about what the maximum penalty is for that flaccid, floppy orange fuck in this case when he gets convicted. I mean, it's got to be something that's discernible, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't look that up either.
But they
But
are
I mean, he's
saying,
got several other criminal trials coming, and altogether, the maximum penalty is hundreds of years in prison. But
yeah.
each individual one, I don't know.
So I've
And
seen
I'm
like,
still skeptical that even if he gets convicted on everything, I'm skeptical that he'll ever set foot in prison.
fucking why, dude? Fucking this is what
I mean, I
drives me
think he
fucking.
should, but I don't think he will. I just don't see it.
This is such an awful fucking precedent across the board. There is the idea that anybody can be immune to the same consequences that we would be subject to is fucking awful. This is,
Yeah, but it's already true. It's already it's been true.
I know.
Forever.
Equal justice under the law has never really been a thing. It's all just been
No.
this fucking mythology.
Yep.
But here it is right in front of us, and it's being paraded. And the groups of people who are supporting the idea, and people, constituents, voters, citizens, are supporting the idea that anybody should be immune to the consequences for behavior. Anybody supporting that is out of their fucking mind. And then I saw some analysis of, the logistics, though. It's really the problem with this is the logistics. And then I saw somebody countering that argument about they'll fucking figure that out. Don't worry about that. They'll figure it out, like the Secret Service and so on and so forth. But I did also see that somebody is submitting a bill that would strip convicted felons of Secret Service protection.
Yeah,
Amen.
it's called the disgraced bill.
Is it?
Yeah. If you disgrace yourself, you don't get Secret Service protection.
Well, and I assume that it's a Democrat that has submitted this.
Yeah, it is. I just read about that this morning. I don't remember who it was. But France and Italy, and probably certainly other countries, but France and Italy in recent times have both put former heads of state in prison, so you can do it.
Yes, and any number of other countries have done it, like Pakistan. Fucking, I think Musharraf was on fucking house arrest until he died.
Yeah. So
yeah,
we can do it too. I just don't, like, for example, he's violated that gag order already. Any normal person would have been held in contempt and imprisoned already during the trial.
Yeah.
But he hasn't. They have a hearing about it.
Now, tell me if this is true or not, because I started to see posts circulating about this yesterday, that the judge called him out for falling asleep and using his phone, and that didn't really tell him he couldn't do these things, but it was called out in court. And also his flatulence was called. Is that true?
I don't know if that's true. I know reporters mentioned the flatulence. I didn't see anything about the phone.
I saw what I did see. There was an alleged statement that the judge made that while Mr. Trump is certainly free to fall asleep and play with his phone in court, his flatulence is not. That the members of this court deserve to work in a noxious-free environment or something. I don't know if it's.
This is why there needs to be cameras in the courtroom, man. We need to see these things.
I want it to be true. It's like,
yeah, I don't know if that's true or not. I believe it, but I don't know if it's true.
Fuck.
But yeah, people who have been in the courtroom have been saying that.
God, gross. I just can't. Ugh. Fuck.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine having to sit next to
him. Haiti's government. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I think we already talked about the collapse of their government. Their prime minister or president or whatever they have fled the country, and it's basically being run by street gangs. There's a lot of violence. So in the midst of all that, the United States decided to round up about 50 Haitian immigrants who had overstayed their visas, put them on a plane, and fly them back to Haiti. That's inhumane. It's not even really a country anymore. What are you sending them back to? I don't know. I disagree with that 100%.
I wonder if that they had some inkling that these people that they are sending back, had some affiliation with the gangs who are problematic in that country, and that's the
I don't know.
justification.
Unfortunately, there's no data on who they were that were sent back, just that the flight took place and it had 50 people on it.
Yeah,
So I don't know who they were, but the vast majority of deportations that the United States does are people overstaying their visas. It's students that come here and then never leave, or people that come on a temporary work visa and never leave. That's usually what it is. It's not usually people. Most of the deportations are not people swimming across the Rio Grande and coming in illegally in the first place. They're
yeah,
people who come here legally, but then just don't leave when they're supposed to. That's the vast majority of deportations. So
yep.
that's why I assumed that's who was on that flight.
So
But
when
there's
this
no data, so I don't know.
so when this all went tits up a few weeks ago, some of the guys that I work with got activated to be sent down there, and I was talking with some of them the night before that they were to get on that AC-130 and head down. They were staging from somewhere in South Florida and then going to Haiti from there. And the question that I posed them is, what are you doing there? And they were all like fucking deer in the headlights, like, we have no fucking idea. And these are guys whose job, it's their job is dependent on knowing in very great detail ahead of time what they're supposed to do, because they're supporting different systems and so forth. But they were like, fucking dude. And one of the guys is actually from Haiti. He's a Haitian expat who has lived in the United States for 10, 12 years, but his mother still lives in Haiti. And I guess she lives in a part of the country where it's relatively safe. But even he was like, fuck, I don't want to go there. This is not, yeah, there's no clear plan is the bottom line, but fuck.
Yeah, it's a mess. I just don't understand why you can't get asylum when your country devolves into chaos,
Yeah, because there's always
while you're here.
right. And I don't know. Well, first of all, I think the asylum rules, I know that that there's some differences depending on where you come from. Like, for instance, Cuban immigrants have always had this special status where it's the wet foot, dry foot. That's literally what it's called. But I think that people immigrating from other countries have different uh, rules that apply at the border when they're claiming asylum, and I'm not sure how.
Yeah, and there's, I mean, you might have to prove your own particular case, like you belong to a particular group in your home country that's being persecuted or something like that. It's not like that just everyone from that country can get asylum. But I would think that if you're already here and your country devolves into chaos, you might be able to get asylum. I would
Mhm.
just think that, but maybe not. Apparently not. But that's a decision by, I don't know. I blame Biden for that, because that's a uh, law enforcement is on the executive branch. So
Yeah.
all right, everything else pretty much is going to be about Palestine.
Yeah,
So
what
we
I
already
saw.
talked.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we already talked about the Iranian missile and drone attack that happened last week. Well, Israel responded. It was kind of a softball attack, just a couple of drones, maybe. I don't know. There is some conflicting information though, because there are Iran said it was like three drones that they shot down and nothing happened. But there's also some people claiming that some air defense assets outside of nuclear sites were destroyed. So I don't know.
Well, whatever it was, what I saw this morning is that both sides have officially backed down. So it's
Yeah, it seemed like that was what it was designed to do. It was Israel being allowed to do something just so they could say they did something. And I mean, similar, that's what Iran did too. They were just doing something to say they could do something.
yeah, it's all an ineffectual tit for tat. And I the vibe that I get from it overall, that is sort of seeping under the foundation of whatever this was for the past few days, is that no Arab country is ever going to feel like it's worth sacrificing their own for any Palestinian life. That's the fucking reality of it. And that fucking makes me sick.
Yeah.
I mean, Jordan actively participated in knocking down ordinance coming in from Iran against Israel. And that fuck. It's here we are, what, 7-8 months later, and it's exactly what I said it was going to be. I'm not claiming to be some fucking sage or something, but 6 months ago I said we're going to be sitting here 6 months from now and nothing will have changed. Israel will have done everything it intended to do, and there will be great wringing of hands from other countries, but nobody will do a goddamn thing, and it will just continue until Israel decides it's done.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And that's the other thing is when Israel launched whatever they launched at Iran, uh our Department of State, Secretary Blinken, he bent over backwards to say we weren't involved in that. We had nothing to do with it. Yeah, you did, man. You gave them the bombs. You give them the missiles. You give them the bullets. You have everything to do with it.
The fucking audacity makes me fucking sick. I did see footage. I haven't gone and like verified that that's what it was from and so forth, but Netanyahu, I guess, speaking to members of his own party in Hebrew, talking about the fact that after he came back from meeting with, is it Macron is the PM of
France,
France, and whoever in Germany, because it's not Merkel anymore, right?
No, not for a long time.
But anyway, he's in this meeting talking to them about how he's going to pump like $1.2 billion into creating settlements in Gaza. We said this from the beginning that this is what they were going to do, and he's saying it with his full chest. No fucking shame whatsoever. And what the fuck are we? We are probably going to support the construction of those fucking settlements in Gaza.
Oh, 100%. 100%. You see all the videos of people, going up to House members and senators and just saying, are you aware that, 12 children were killed on a playground yesterday by IDF soldiers? And the politicians just start running away and saying, you sided with terrorists. You're a terrorist. Every single one of those politicians needs to lose their job. Every single one of them.
Fuck.
By the way, in honor of our government saying that we can't say from the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free. I just want to say it since our government said we can't. Fuck you. I'll say what I want.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna skip to number 5 and we can come back to number 4. But the countries that overwhelmingly voted in favor of Palestinians' membership in the UN, and the United States vetoes it.
Yep.
This is so broken. This is so fucking broken.
Well, the thing is, Biden has said several times that he supports a two-state solution. Well, if that's true, then why are you denying Palestinians membership in the United Nations? It makes no sense.
He doesn't support a two-state solution. That is just a placating point to make.
His actions clearly support the destruction and genocide of Palestinian people.
100%.
He can say whatever he wants, but his actions show that he's fully in support of this genocide.
Okay, so I just thought of something else that needs to go along with number 4 about the firings at Google. And by the way, I saw the footage of the HR guys and the cops marching into those offices in Google and firing these fucking people. That was fucking chilling. But did you also see the Columbia University shit?
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that too. I forgot to put it on the outline, but yeah.
Fuck.
So Columbia University, their students were just gathered and chanting. They weren't destroying property. They weren't doing anything. The university decided to, all the students that were gathered there, they suspended them from school, which then made it so that they were trespassing so that they could be arrested.
Yeah.
But here's what I would consider good news. Since that happened, all the students that weren't there originally have all recongregated.
Yep.
And not just at Columbia, at MIT, at Yale, at Harvard, at Princeton. They're protest. All the Ivy League schools are all protesting in solidarity with those Columbia students.
Yeah, and I saw
another thing that's interesting to note, that Columbia president, she's Arab. She's from Egypt.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I don't know, but I've seen several Columbia professors speaking out in support of the students and saying that it's incredible what the university did and that they're extremely disappointed. In fact, there was one woman, a professor at Columbia, that I saw that was giving an interview, and she said that, in the 60s, she was protesting just like this, and nothing like that ever happened. I forget what, she wasn't at Columbia, but she was at another Ivy League school. And she's like, and they didn't do this. We had freedom of speech back then. And she's like, clearly that's gone. Well, yeah, it is. I don't remember what states, but several states literally made it illegal to protest in groups.
Yeah,
it's in the fucking Constitution, man.
Yeah, those students that they targeted in this should have a solid case for a lawsuit against that school. And I saw where they actually went into their dorms and gutted their dorms and threw their shit out
in an alley.
Fucking unreal.
Fascist shit everywhere.
Oh, I mean, my God.
This country is already fascist, in case you didn't notice. This is something that guy, I forget, Max something, the self-immolator at the Trump trial, that's one thing he was right about. He's like, Democrats and Republicans are the same. They're turning us into the fascist states of America. Yeah, they already did. Democrats are doing fascist shit just like the Republicans are.
Yeah, if he I'm going to critique his approach on this in hindsight, which is really shitty to do, but whatever. But if that's where he started and that's where he stopped, it would have had much greater impact if he hadn't gone off into The Simpsons and Sesame Street and whatever the fuck else he wandered off into, which sort of eroded the credibility of the meat and potatoes of his argument. It would have been a much more effective thing to do.
Because I mean, he came to the right conclusions. He just got there in a weird, insane, crazy way. But it allows for his argument, his conclusions to just be dismissed. Well, he was crazy.
Yep.
But
yeah, and those Google staffers, I don't know, and everybody's going to act according to their own self-interests ultimately, but I don't know how there hasn't been a massive protest at Google, because what are they going to do? Fire everybody? The remaining Google staff that aren't complete pieces of shit, and we're talking about tens of thousands of people, should be fucking speaking up, but I haven't seen anything.
Well, I mean, James, all of us should be protesting everything all the time, but we're not. I don't know, but we're getting closer. I don't know. It does seem like the general sentiment, particularly among young people, is that we don't just need to vote more Democrats in. We need to change the whole system. That does seem to be a growing sentiment. So maybe we'll get there.
Well, yeah, and on that point, there's several people that I follow and I watch their content pretty closely that are making the argument that this, we can't be talking about reform of these systems, from the policing system to it's not about reform. These systems have to be dismantled completely, and we have to start over. It's a painful chapter, and there can't be any half measures. If any piece of this corrupt process is allowed to continue to sit in the shadows and wait and boil back up again, it's going to be a complete disservice to any progress that we make in terms of dismantling these systems. This has to be a complete scorched earth fucking proposal, because anything less than that is just, we're going to be, my grandchildren, my great grandchildren are going to be doing this again. Maybe that's
Yeah.
just what we're doomed to do.
Well, I do think I don't have a lot of hope that we'll be able to tear down the federal systems that need to be torn down and replaced. I just don't. But I do think it's possible for states to do it. I do think it's possible for states to completely reform their policing system, for example.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that we could see. I don't think we'll see it on a federal level. And quite frankly, seeing the United States break up is very possible. It is very possible with how different the political sentiment in different states is these days.
I think it's not just possible. I think it's inevitable. I think,
Yeah.
and I don't know when we're going to see that. And then of course, the whole linchpin on any of that type of stuff happening is, how does the federal government respond to those sorts of things? That's always been the sort of, and you're talking when all the shit that is supposed to have been prosecuted by now with regard to what went on in 2020. Was it 2020? Yeah, January 6th, right? 2020. Right?
2021.
2021? Yeah.
I don't
No, yeah, yeah, yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
It
You're
was
right.
after the election. The election was
Fuck.
2020. The counting of the votes was
They're
after.
calling all of that such uncharted territory, which is why nothing's gotten prosecuted. You want to talk about uncharted territory? The first state that says we're done, we're out of this fucking union, uncharted territory. Well, okay, it's not necessarily uncharted territory, because you could go back to the Civil War, I guess, but
Yeah.
it's so fucking out there that, and I think
Well, honestly, the two states most equipped to do it, one on each side of the political argument, are California and Texas.
I was just going to say those two. Yeah.
Both of them could absolutely stand alone as an independent country. They both have large enough economies to do it. They can both do it.
Yeah.
The sentiment is there in Texas. the Texas people, the sentiment for the population on average is already there. I don't know if Californians, I don't really know California that well, but I don't know if Californians are as keen to become their own country as Texans are. But
Yeah, I don't think they are, because I don't think Texas has a homogenous population either, but there's definitely more momentum for their stupidity than there is in a place like California, where you've got a much more varied population, and I think to some degree a much more comfortable population, that they're not necessarily, that they could do this because of their infrastructure and their status, that they're not motivated to do it because they're relatively comfortable.
yeah.
And, the only people for the most part, who are the most uncomfortable in a place like California are the richest of the rich, because I think they get taxed pretty heavily. I mean, that stuff reaches out to
That's why Elon Musk moved to Texas.
Yeah, that's dumb son of a bitch. All of the Cybertrucks got recalled.
Yeah. Oh, I saw a really funny thing on Twitter. Elon tweeted, believe what you see, not what you are told. And somebody replied and said, okay, well, I'm always told that you're a genius, but all I see is you acting like a fucking moron.
I saw that too. That was perfect.
I don't remember who that was that had that reply, but that's a legendary reply.
Yep.
Of course, he's probably suspended from Twitter now.
Probably.
I'd bet he is. You can't criticize Elon on there.
And then the final item we have for the week is, it's been raining like a motherfucker in Dubai, but I just want to say it has nothing to do with cloud seeding. Stop saying that.
No, I mean they do cloud seeding. They do cloud seeding there, but cloud seeding doesn't put water into the air. It makes rain fall maybe sooner than it might otherwise, but it's a small effect.
Yes.
You literally, conspiracy theorists, sorry to disappoint you, you literally can't control the weather. You just can't. Yet. I mean, maybe someday, but right now we can't. You can't nuke hurricanes. You can't
You can't put
you can't
ultraviolet
change the
light.
weather. No, this is 100% climate change. But the videos were insane
Yeah.
of the amount of water on the ground, and that's because it's a desert. They don't get rain like that, so they don't have drainage systems in place to drain it
Yeah.
effectively.
Yep.
And watching the planes at the airport drive through like a couple feet of water, it's like, are you
Yeah.
gonna try to take off in that? That doesn't seem safe. But yeah, the video was crazy. But getting 3 years worth of rain in a 24-hour period is just nuts. But here's the thing. That could happen where you live too.
hmm
You could get 3 years of rain in 24 hours.
Yep.
The climate change is going to affect all of us. Also, other places that are normally rainy are going to become deserts,
Right.
and
Yeah.
like everything's going to change. It's a
Yeah. And the
big
whole,
fucking deal.
yeah, the whole, I mean, the whole process of what is going to be bad that is coming upon us with regard to climate change has been such a slow process, and we we are not wired to respond to those slow processes. We discount them and we say, oh yeah, it's not really happening, it's this or that. And it's because it's such a fucking slow process that it's so difficult for us to come together and do the right things to, either learn to adapt to what is inevitable or try to mitigate what is inevitable. And they've been talking about that tipping point for years and years and years, and there's a lot of people that believe that we are now past the tipping point where there's no longer anything we can really do about it. We have to learn to adapt to it. We have to
Yeah.
learn
Well, I mean,
to.
stuff is happening faster than they even predicted. Like the ice in Antarctica is melting faster than they predicted.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen if that current that keeps Northern Europe relatively warm ever breaks down?
Hmm.
Could you imagine a Great Britain that's just frozen?
Well, I think the obvious first and real consequence that you get to that type of change over a large area is you're going to have people starving to death.
Yeah.
You're going to break the food supply, and we don't have any backup plan for that whatsoever. And
No. And
that's gonna,
wars for territory will become a thing again, more so like because people need access to clean water, because that's going to change too. Where the fresh water is going to change.
mhm.
So places that have abundant clean water may all of a sudden not have clean water. Like I couldn't imagine what would happen. I live on a Great Lake, and it's the largest source of fresh water in the world. I couldn't imagine what would happen if those all dried up. All the cities along the Great Lakes, Chicago, Toronto, Cleveland, Detroit. Could you imagine if they all didn't have the Great Lakes for fresh water anymore?
It's
And I
it
don't know that that's a thing. Like, that's a direction climate change is going to go. I'm just saying it could. And what if it did?
well, it will eventually. I mean, things those lakes didn't always exist, and there was a time before they did, and there will be a time where they no longer exist for
True.
whatever reason and whatever cause. But it's a real thing, and
True.
I don't know. It's
Um, but yeah, but on a smaller scale, like rivers will dry up and new rivers will happen other places.
mhm.
Everything's going to change, and people always settle where there's water. And if that water goes away, what are you going to do? You're going to start wars to go somewhere else, take the water from your neighbor.
Yeah, and watch what happens when, because of those changes, that people need to immigrate out of the United States into other countries, and oh my God, are you going to be a refugee? Are you going to be asking for asylum in some other country? You fucking pricks.
Well, I don't know, man. In the back of my head, I do have a plan, depending on how far things devolve here. I do have a plan of running down to the marina that's four blocks away, commandeering a boat and going across Lake Erie and saying, Canada, can I have asylum? That is a plan I have, depending, if things do go terribly.
Is that the quickest way for you to get to Canada? Is via boat?
Well, no. I mean, car would be quicker, but if we're all fleeing some kind of horrible something, I figure the traffic will be bad on the
Oh,
roads.
yeah, you're right.
Taking a
Yeah.
boat might be quicker.
Yeah.
I don't have a boat. I'd have to steal somebody's boat, but somebody down there. There's lots of boats down there. Somebody's left a key in it.
Everybody should be stealing those fucking boats, those ships, all that fucking shit. Yeah, those are going to be the best resources to snatch up in the end. But
Oh, anything lighthearted to end it up? It's 420. Happy 420 day to those who partake.
is it 420? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Oh, and by the way, the TikTok forced divestment is going to be official today.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It's fucking ridiculous.
That's exciting. Super exciting.
Yeah,
I still don't know what that means. Like, how do they ban it? They can ban it from the stores, right? But they can't take it off our phones, can they?
Well, here's what I noticed about how that could and would play out is that TikTok would basically be forced to deactivate any accounts that originated in the United States, and they can easily do that. And what
TikTok can do that, but how can the United States force them to do that?
There will be a deal. There will be a deal that we're not told about that is enticing enough to TikTok that they said, okay, they're going to do this. And the reason I know they can do this is because on my VPN on my PC, I'll connect to some other country and try to log in with my TikTok account, and it will simply say account doesn't exist because that account wasn't created in that country, and so it'll just become that where and I the loss to ByteDance or to the investors that own TikTok by losing the American market, it's fucking huge. So I think what you're probably going to see, and the whole obstacle to this, from my understanding, has been Chinese export law. That there's no mechanism in that, and I think there's mechanisms actually that forbid the sale of, anything that is
Chinese intellectual property cannot be sold to other countries.
Yeah, they're
that's
going
the
to
law.
have to change that. I think they're going to have to modify their law to allow this, because I think that app existing is more important to the Chinese interests than is the idea of trying to get by without the American market. I don't have any real great fear that it's going to go away. I think it's going to continue to exist. I think it'll be just under a different name. It'll be something different, but it won't be terribly different in terms of the user experience.
Yeah.
It's going to be owned by people that are more terrible than the Chinese are. That's the real bad part of this. You're going to be tethered to a system that's owned by people that are genuinely bad, whereas the Chinese aren't necessarily genuinely bad.
Yeah. I don't know. The one thing I like about the TikTok algorithm is it is genuinely excellent at finding your audience. It really is.
Yeah.
Like nothing else. Like no YouTube, I don't know, whatever.
Well,
and none of the other algorithms are good at serving up or as good at serving up your content to the people who would enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's
None
the
of them are
biggest
better than
piece of
TikTok.
piece of that Chinese intellectual property that they won't loosen their grip on, and justifiably so. They've got something there that is really powerful in terms of directing traffic and directing people's attention.
Mhm. And valuable to advertisers, incredibly valuable,
Yeah.
that they can pinpoint their audience so well.
Yep.
Yeah. And I've noticed, I mean, I've been on TikTok since 2020, like most of us. That's when we got locked down and we all went on TikTok, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I've noticed it changed. It's matured, I would say, a lot. Like the advertising experience and stuff. Like originally, it was all Chinese companies selling cheap ass crap, right? That was all the ads. But now there's big company ads, and I think the TikTok shop is pretty good. I first of all, I bought some of that cheap Chinese crap originally from TikTok that took months and months and months to arrive and was not as advertised, right? But I've
Mm-hmm.
bought stuff from the TikTok shop too that came much faster and was as advertised. So it's matured
Yeah,
and it's
definitely.
become more professional and quite frankly more Americanized.
Yeah,
Um,
it's way better than Temu or Wish for sure.
yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, I've bought stuff off Wish before. That's an exciting experience.
the best part of the best part of ordering from Wish is that it takes so fucking long to get to you. You don't even remember ordering it, and it's like the surprise. You got something you forgot you wanted. It pisses me off though, because I sell my shit on TikTok Shop and on Etsy, and the difference between, and I don't put a lot of effort into marketing it, so if it happens, it happens. And just on that dynamic alone, I sell fucking 50 times more product on the TikTok Shop than I sell on Etsy, because TikTok is an advertising platform.
Mhm.
Etsy isn't. I mean, you can sort of make Etsy an advertising platform, but TikTok is a dynamic advertising platform. And if anybody's going to sell anything on TikTok, there's there's access to tools and affiliates and things, because I've got people that are my affiliates that I will send them free samples of my stuff, and then they will advertise it, and I get more sales from that.
Now, I would think the big companies that advertise on TikTok would have similar data. Wouldn't you think that they've had success advertising on TikTok?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So why aren't they lobbying against the ban? Because they're not. Because if they were, it wouldn't be a thing.
The only thing I can think in answer to that is they know something we don't know, in terms of there is no threat to their livelihood with regard to this. That if advertising on TikTok for their products is the cash cow we think it is, they know that nothing's really going to change, and they're okay with it. Otherwise, they would be fighting tooth and nail to maintain the level of access they have to that platform now, to maintain the results that they're getting. Because I definitely think I've bought expensive shit on TikTok. Like back when I used to sell microgreens at the farmers markets, there's a company, Icy Breeze is what they were called, and they sell this. It's a really innovative product. It's not a swamp cooler. It looks like a cooler, but it's got plumbing and fans and pipes and a condenser and everything. And I used to it's like an air conditioner for outdoors. And so I'd bring that. I ordered that fucking thing. It was like $500. I'd bring it to my booth at the farmers markets in the summer here, because it got hot as balls, and fill it up with ice and turn that fucking thing on. And my fucking space was as cool as fuck. So it isn't just fucking little trinket shit, but that wasn't bought through the TikTok shop. That was bought through an advertisement on TikTok, bought directly from the manufacturer. So yeah, that was back in 2020.
I mean, there's entire brands. They're not huge companies that are lobbying Congress, but there's entire brands I think of that are only successful because of TikTok, like Danos.
Yeah.
All of their success is from TikTok,
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
And I'm sure there's several others. I don't have a list in front of me, and I'm just trying to think, but I know there's several brands that essentially owe their entire existence to TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't all the small businesses that were started to sell stuff on the TikTok shop too. Those unemployment claims are going to be enormous.
Yeah, for sure.
States are going to be like, "Well, what did we do?"
I mean, out of all the ways that I have to sell the stuff that I make, the if I ever wanted to really get motivated to have it blow up, the one avenue that I would have to apply minimal effort to, that would have the best potential to have it blow up, is TikTok.
Mhm.
The existence of my TikTok shop is there, and if I want to pull the triggers at some point because I need it to blow up for some reason, it's incredibly easy to do, and I could do it. I'm not motivated to do that right now, but it's there, and I'm locked in, and if I needed to, I could go crazy with it, and it would support me. But and for that to go away, that's got to be some fucking violation of something constitutional in the United States in terms of my ability to engage in commerce and all the
Yeah, if that was
bullshit
true, I don't think at-will employment would exist.
that shouldn't exist.
It
That's
shouldn't, but it
fucking
does.
crazy.
Which is why those Google employees were able to be fired for protesting Google's contract with Israel.
God damn, they should have a fucking. I don't know how they don't have lawyers breathing down their necks right now saying, "Hey, hire us and we'll get you taken care of because this is bullshit and we can win this." That has to be happening.
Yeah, I don't know.
Unless they signed a thing that says we will not do this specifically and blah blah blah. But that's gotta. I've seen a lot of content about people that talk about employment law and stuff like that. That like non-competition clauses. Non-competition clauses are bullshit. I work under a non-competition clause. Everybody I work with has worked under a non-competition clause, and a lot of people have decided to call their bluff on that and gone to work for other companies that are direct competitors to the company they were working for, and nothing has happened. They don't get in trouble. So that whole fucking at will employment and non-competition and all this other bullshit is I think it's easily challenged in court, and it should be.
Yeah.
It needs to be dismantled. We are coming in at our usual time slot here of about 55 minutes, which, hey man, if we're doing anything right, we're doing that.
Yeah.
Are you viewing the stream on Twitch, or is that somebody else?
No, that's somebody else.
Oh, thank you, my one person. I think I know who you are.
Is that Aaron?
Who? No,
Aaron?
it's not. I don't think it is anyway. It's my other person. So we will come back next week with more drama. I don't even know what to expect by next week, but we say this every week where we wrap up and say, "Oh, I wonder what's going to be."
Yeah, it's possible that the Trump trial will get underway, like not just jury selection, but there'll be, testimony and stuff. So we might get to talk about that. There'll be something happening in the Middle East. Israel have killed more people, and who knows? That's what we'll be talking about next week, I'm sure.
And yes, and I could go on and on with all the bad things that I expect to happen in a week, but
there'll be some event that we can tie to climate change that'll be scary. Tornadoes or hurricanes or something. Actually, speaking of that, we had a tornado watch last, I want to say maybe Sunday night.
So did we. Yeah.
But it never even rained. We never even had a storm. Like, I feel like they can't really predict the weather. The models are broken. I'm sure the store. Like when I looked at the radar, there was a bunch happening in Canada, like in Toronto, on the other side of Lake Erie. There was a bunch of red thunderstorms and stuff. But it was sunny all day the day we had a tornado watch, and it sprinkled a little bit towards the evening, but no thunderstorms, no high winds, nothing.
Yeah, that was the same weather belt that we went through about the same time. It was a little bit before that, and we had tornado watches. We don't get tornadoes down here. But I mean,
when I lived in Atlanta, there was a tornado that went down downtown Atlanta. That was in 2007 or 2008. And they said the same thing. Like, we don't get tornadoes here, but they did. It went right down. I don't remember the street, but right through downtown, just blew windows out of all the buildings.
Jesus.
Yeah. You can't say that anymore. We don't get tornadoes here. Well, yeah, now you do.
Yeah.
We don't get hurricanes here. Well, now you do.
Back in the old days, we didn't. Now we do. Yep. All right, I'm going to end the Twitch stream here. Thank you, person and people, and Twitch. We will be back in a week, and
Woo, you sure gotta climb a lot of steps to get to this Capitol building here in Washington. Well, I wonder who that sad little scrap of paper is.
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long wait while I'm sitting in committee. But I know I'll be a law someday. At least I hope and pray that I will. But today I am still just a bill.
Gee, Bill, you certainly have a lot of patience and courage.
Well, I got this far. When I started, I wasn't even a bill. I was just an idea. Some folks back home decided they wanted a law passed, so they called their local congressman, and he said, "You're right, there ought to be a law." Then he sat down and wrote me out and introduced me to Congress, and I became a bill. And I'll remain a bill until they decide to make me a law. I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I got as far as Capitol Hill. Well, now I'm stuck in committee, and I'll sit here and wait while a few key congressmen discuss and debate whether they should let me be a law. How I hope and pray that they will. But today I am still just a bill.
Listen to those congressmen arguing. Is all that discussion and debate about you?
Yeah, I'm one of the lucky ones. Most bills never even get this far. I hope they decide to report on me favorably, otherwise I may die.
Die?
Yeah, die in committee. Oh, but it looks like I'm going to live. Now I go to the House of Representatives and they vote on me.
If they vote yes, what happens?
Then I go to the Senate and the whole thing starts all over again.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And if they vote for me on Capitol Hill, well, then I'm off to the White House where I'll wait in a line with a lot of other bills for the president to sign. And if he signs me, then I'll be a law. How I hope and pray that he will. But today I am still just a bill.
You mean even if the whole Congress says you should be a law, the president can still say no?
Yes, that's called a veto. If the president vetoes me, I have to go back to Congress and they vote on me again, and by that time you're so
By
old.
that time, it's very unlikely that you become a law. It's not easy to become a law, is it?
No, but how I hope and pray that I will. But today I am still just a bill.
He signed your bill. Now you're a law.
Oh,